Okay, it's time to commit. 2024 is the year for prioritizing yourself. Begin your new smile journey with Byte, and you could start seeing results in just 2 to 3 weeks. Just order your at-home impression kit today for only $14.95 at Byte.com. Byte clear liners are doctor-directed and delivered to your door. Treatment costs thousands less than braces, plus they offer financing options, accept eligible insurance, and you could pay with your HSA, FSA. Get 80% off your impression kit when you use code WONDERY at Byte.com. That's BYTE.com. Start your confidence journey today with Byte.
It's easy to get lost in the latest true crime podcast or your favorite binge-worthy show. But what about your own story? That's the most important story of all, and therapy helps you write it. BetterHelp Therapy is 100% online and designed to be convenient and flexible enough to squeeze in between the next episode on your list. Get started today at betterhelp.com/pause for 10% off your first month.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What is The Briefing Room? It's a behind-the-scenes look at how the criminal justice system works and the lives of the people within that system. If you love true crime, well, these are the real people who do the job every day of making sure justice is served. Hi, I'm Detective Dave. I'm Detective Dan. Together, we have decades of experience in local law enforcement, a profession that we think is often misunderstood. So we're going to explore how to do it right, and we won't shy away from when it's done wrong. These are stories you'll hear nowhere else. Unique, frank, and unvarnished. From the team that brought you Small Town Dicks, this is The Briefing Room. Episode 1 drops on August 30th. We'll meet you in the briefing room.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
Happy Friday, listeners. We have something new for you. We're going to try to do an every Friday mini-sode where we talk about what we've been watching or playing or reading or whatever.
Am I supposed to go?
We're doing this off the cuff.
Yeah. And so, this will be a regular thing. We heard from you guys about liking this segment on the podcast. And so we're happy to deliver it once a week. It's just going to be me and Terry talking for, 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes about what we've been watching. And hopefully that this will satisfy you guys and what you've been looking for. And also give us a chance to talk about other things we've been watching, because I do miss talking about that with you, Terry.
I do as well. It was something that I did look forward to. It got kind of untenable with dealing with either, working through PR people and having a limited amount of time, or it just sort of like broke up the flow. So I'm really excited that we're going to give this to you and be able to have a chat with us. So let us know what you think. And hopefully you guys like it as much as we do.
We're just going to keep doing it anyway because we can talk to each other. It's just another excuse for me to talk to Terry.
Yeah, that's really what it boils down to. That's what this whole podcast has become. It's like you were recording earlier, and it's like, oh wait, we should be recording this stuff. This is podcast gold. Isn't this how this works?
Yeah. Whatever.
So, what have you been watching, Mary Beth?
Okay, so people who follow me on Twitter have seen I'm going on a journey through the world of Giallo.
And I love that for you.
I'm very excited. I like we all know, I have a lot of blind spots in horror, especially the history of horror. And so I got some suggestions from people for Argento specifically, because I would like to kind of have a starting point, because there's a lot and it's a little bit overwhelming. And Shudder also has a lot of his work right now, so I figured what better place to start. So over the weekend I watched Inferno, and Tenebrae. Shit.
I think I say Tenebrae.
Tenebrae. That's what it says. Yes, I watched Tenebrae and Inferno, and so holy shit! Wow.
Yeah.
Giallo is wild. And I don't even know if Inferno isn't technically... Oh, hold on. Excuse me, and I'm burping too, Jesus. I'm so attractive. Keep that in. Anywho.
We are quite the pair right now. I mean, I know, this is happening. I'm like taking my temperature, like panicky, like, because I'm dealing with stuff.
I'm burping, like, it's fine. So I don't know. I don't think Inferno is considered a Giallo. I know there's a lot of discussion.
It's not.
Yeah, because it's like the Three Mothers trilogy, and so it's got the vibe of a Giallo, but it's not the kind of like slasher.
Right. And that's the thing that like I've learned very quickly is that people that are Italian horror fans, like, you do not call Suspiria a Giallo. You do not call Inferno a Giallo.
I did learn that.
Huh?
I did learn that.
Yeah, because like people will very quickly correct you on that aspect. But yeah. So what did you think?
I'll start with Inferno. I know it's not Giallo, whatever. Gorgeous. Like, yeah. I don't understand how Argento gets these beautiful buildings and these beautiful sets. And there's just these amazing sequences, like the beginning when she goes underwater to get her keys that she dropped underwater.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I absolutely in love. It's just gorgeous. And I think one of the things I didn't really realize about Italian horror, at least Argento, is that it doesn't always make a lot of sense.
No.
Like, the plot isn't why you watch it. It kind of is, but
what is the plot of Inferno?
That's a great fucking question. There's a mother, Tenenbaum lives there. Mater Tenenbaum. She's the meanest, cruelest witch of the three. And she lives in this apartment building that a woman has somehow discovered she lives in the same apartment building. And then everyone starts dying because of the witch. That's like really what I can tell you.
Yeah.
Her brother shows up randomly. The plot description of Inferno is wrong, though, because it's like a man comes to investigate witches. And I'm like, the man is in the back half. Like, it's really not much to do with him. It's like two women who are like doing lots of really interesting research and getting killed by the witch. Well, that's what I assume is happening. That is my reading of the film. Also, a man drowns a bag of cats.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
That was fucking awful. And, like, not even just because of and then he gets eaten alive by rats. Basically, I loved it. It was so fucking bizarre. And then, I just forgot already. I'm so out of it. Tenebrae. Tenebrae was more like a Giallo. I still don't really... I know what happened, but I had to read about the ending to make sure I was correct. Because there are a lot of like, it's not two killers. It is two killers. I was like, what's happening? And then a woman just happens to get attacked by a Doberman, and she just so happens to go into the killer's house.
That hasn't happened to you before?
No, it's never happened to me. I guess that maybe I'm like an exception to the rule here, but regardless of me giving the plot summaries of these movies, I love them. I think once I understand the headspace you're supposed to be in with these films, I'm very into it. Did not go into Inferno with like the right kind of expectations at first, but I quickly adapted it, and now I kind of understand what I'm getting into. And is that true for all Giallo, or is it just Argento?
I do think like I'm not. I guess I've seen more than you, but I wouldn't call myself like a Giallo enthusiast. So
you've seen more than Argento. Giallo.
No, I have. I mean, like they all kind of have that sort of dreamy, or the ones I've seen sort of have that kind of dreamy feel to it. Well, I also think that it probably puts us a little on edge because obviously there's the dubbing issue, right? Mm-hmm. So like it automatically... It feels larger than life because like you have people that are either speaking English that are being redubbed, or people that are speaking Italian that are being redubbed, or people that are speaking a different language and being redubbed into English. So like everywhere you look, people are there's a lot of ADR going on. There's a lot of, the colors are so bright and popping. So I do think that like a lot of the ones I've seen kind of have put me in that sort of same headspace as like Tenebrae or Inferno.
Okay, cool. Well, that's good to know. So Phenomena is next for me because I read the plot description. And it's a young Jennifer Connelly, so I'm very excited to watch Phenomena.
Who controls and talks to bugs.
I read that plot description and I said, why is this
monkey.
like why yes. I'm like, why is this not the greatest like why is this not talked about constantly? Like the greatest movie of all time. So I'm very excited to delve into that, and I thank you to everyone who has given me suggestions. I'm very excited to start on this journey. I was just thinking about this today because we were recording this episode the same day we were recording about Friday the 13th coming up. And so like so thankful for a podcast that's gotten me to like finally get off my ass and watch these movies and like getting me to really delve deeper into horror history and really like give giallos and slashers their due. And I'm just like, I'm so grateful for that. And I'm grateful for these, like meeting all these amazing people who can kind of tell me where to start. And it's been great. And this year, like, especially with COVID, it's been terrible, but I really feel like I've been filling a lot of the gaps in my horror knowledge, and it's really cool. It feels good.
Maybe I should start rewatching Giallo, because I mean, I've seen a handful of them, but there's a lot that I haven't seen, and I know that there's going to be a Shudder today, just while recording this, announced like a bunch of Giallo coming in December. So
Holly Gialli Christmas is the best fucking title I've ever heard in my life. Like it is so good, and I love the titles of all these Giallo. And I'm just very excited. So
they have the best titles. Like Your Room is a Vice and Only I Have the Key.
Like it's like Fall Out Boy music titles. Like their entire sentences. And I'm like,
wait, is Fall Out Boy like the Giallo of rock music?
I'm gonna tell Ryan Larson we're talking about Ryan. Yeah, I think that like pop,
or maybe I guess in that type of music, because I mean, Panic at the Disco also had.
Yeah, I was gonna say Panic at the Disco, like that fueled by ramen, pop, punky, emo, like early to mid 2000s.
Where's Ryan when you need him?
Yeah, he probably his ears just pricked up. Probably was like, someone mentioned Fall Out Boy. Anyway, Terry, what have you been watching?
So the first one I want to talk about, because let's start on a downer. Have you heard of Dennis Nilsen? He is a serial killer, or was a serial killer.
Tell me more, because it sounds very familiar.
So he was in England, and he was discovered because his building had to call the plumber because there were backup issues, and they found human fucking remains in their sewage because he was stuffing organs down his fucking toilet.
I shouldn't laugh. It's totally fucked up. It's awful. But just like, what the fuck? Yes, I have heard of this guy. So what did you watch about that?
So I don't know why I bought this movie. It was probably someone on Twitter. I know it was someone on Twitter. I don't know who it was on Twitter that was talking about it. It's an Arrow release. It's a beautiful set. And I think it's limited to like 2,000 or 3,000. So like, that's probably why I was like, oh gosh, people are talking about this movie. I should buy it because there's only like going to be 3,000 copies of it.
That's how they fucking get you. That's how they fucking get you.
But it's a very evocative cover where it's like, the slip cover is like, the floorboards, and there's like a piece missing, and there's like limbs underneath it.
What's the title again?
Cold Light of Day.
Okay.
Is the movie.
I saw the cover you posted on Twitter.
Yeah. And I think people were probably comparing it to Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Okay.
Because it has that kind of documentary style to it. It's presented very matter-of-factly.
Okay.
It's a lot of it's kind of framed by the kind of confession / interrogation by the police. Because he was, in real life, he like pretty much just like, yeah, I'm going to confess it. And he said, in kind of like a stranger's way, he's like, I'm kind of hoping you'll tell me why I'm doing this, is sort of like his like rationale for basically unspooling himself to this interrogator. And so the movie fictionalizes it. Like the character is called someone else, and they changed a lot of the names, but it's basically kind of recounting 3 of his I guess. You're not quite sure, but I guess 3 in if this was if this was compared to like real life, the last 3 murders that he did, I don't know if the character in this movie did more before this, but
okay.
It follows some of the things that he was known for, like keeping the bodies under his floorboard, that he would take out once in a while and sleep with. He boiled the skulls of people to like get rid of the brains inside.
I feel terrible. I'm just like, yeah, okay, I've heard about that before. I'm like, oh yeah, Eddie, and oh yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer, like.
Yeah, so like the things that this, I mean, the Wikipedia, like I went down a fucking rabbit hole on this character because the Wikipedia is very long and very in depth on his life. He's also one of, like Jeffrey Dahmer, he's a queer man that I think probably had a lot of internalized homophobia.
Okay.
Because a lot of people that he murdered were either some of them were people that he slept with, some were a lot of gay men that he found that were either homeless or that he tried to like take care of, and would offer like sleeping in his house and that kind of stuff, or would entice them home for a drink.
Okay. One of those characters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interestingly, it was directed by a woman, Fiona Louise, and this is the only movie she directed.
Huh. That's interesting.
It includes this Blu-ray. I haven't dug into the extras, but the Blu-ray does include 2 of her short films that she did. But like, yeah, this was the only film that she did, and the acting is a little hit or miss.
Okay.
The interrogator pretty much screams the entire time. The main character, I get he's not supposed to be likable, but the guy that plays him is just annoying. I didn't find him very evocative to watch for the 90 minutes, but it's presented in such a way that like such a matter-of-fact way that I think fans of Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer will probably find something to like here. I mean, it's obviously low budget, like the head that he puts in the pot looks fake as hell, but like,
hey,
I think there's something here, and it was definitely, it kept my attention the entire way. I was very enthralled in what was going on, and then I went down this deep dive of Wikipedia.
Oh, Terry, I don't need to buy any more fucking Blu-rays, but guess what? Especially if a woman directed it, like if I hear a woman has directed a horror movie from like that era, I'm like, I must purchase it and support her forever. Like,
absolutely.
It's amazing.
I think that's what's so interesting is that this is directed by a woman, and it makes me sad that it's the only thing that she's done.
Yeah, that is always a bummer when you watch something like there's something really cool here, and then they never direct it again. It's like, did the horror industry just get you down? I don't blame you, but also, please continue to make films.
Yeah, but that was from 1989, and I think it's worth watching.
Cool.
Again, there's some iffy acting and some iffy effects, and it definitely isn't staged very well. It's very it's very like the set design's not that great, but there's something to it that definitely got me. The other show that I watched is something that I heard Joe Lipsett talk about, and then I heard Trace talk about, and then I heard you talk about. So I finally sat down, and over the weekend, while I was surprised, I'm dealing with COVID, guys. But
Terry.
Over the weekend, I watched the entirety of Evil.
I haven't watched the final episode yet because I'm watching it with Steve, and he is less of like a binge watcher than I am, and so we're going through it a little bit slower. We have 1 episode left, but so don't spoil the end. But
I won't.
The show is so fucking good, and it was a CBS show, like a show that like I would not expect this to have been a show on CBS. No,
I don't like it as much as everyone else seems to. Like, I enjoyed it.
Okay, tell me why. I understand that, but I'd like to hear why you're not as much of a fan.
So it's everything that I don't really like, and that's sort of why I'm surprised that I liked it as much as I did.
Oh, that's
because
true.
It's about I don't believe in possession. I don't believe in I'm a strict atheist. So like I do like watching supernatural shows, but like they don't ever really affect me. So I'm going into it with that. It's also like a creature of the week, like not even a creature, but like a case of the week type. It's a procedural. It's from CBS, which I have not seen any single one of their shows that I've ever really liked.
Well, neither have I, and that's why I was so shocked I liked Evil.
Right. But I do think that, and I also think that it being on CBS has kind of like held it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I'm surprised this wasn't a CBS all access movie or show, to be honest, because it sort of walks up to that fine line of, is this acceptable on network television? I don't think it walks up to it in the same way that Hannibal did on Fox.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
But like it tiptoes up to that area where it's like, a little bit of a different edit. This could have been something that was either on Netflix or something that was on CBS All Access. But basically, I mean, the idea is that there's a clinical psychologist and she joins a priest in training. And that's another thing that kind of annoys me. It's like this, it's like this, like, I mean, it goes back, it harkens back to X-Files, right? Where you have a non-believer and you have a believer and they have like a sexual chemistry between the two of them, but she's married and he's going to be a priest. Like there's that kind of stuff that's like, all right, calm down.
Shut up. That is an annoying part to me, though. I was kind of frustrated. I was like, can we just have them be like friends? We don't need them to be attracted to each other. Like, it's fine. We could do, like, this show is intriguing without their sexual chemistry.
But I will say the pilot, I think, is a perfectly executed hour of television, and I think the quality kind of drops after that, because it wasn't directed by, because this is created by Robert and Michelle King, who have done The Good Wife, and they did The Good Fight, and so like they have like a style, and they directed the first he directed the first episode, they wrote the first episode together, and then that was the only episode that they did together. And I feel like the rest of the series has taken a more television approach to it. Whereas like the first episode felt very cinematic.
Yeah.
I was like engaged. I was like, ooh, this looks good. This is kind of creepy. I'm really feeling it. And then it sort of falls back into the CBS television.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think you're not wrong in that regard. I think there are some interesting attempts at comedy that I didn't really think worked. But Michael Emerson as Leland Townsend I want to punch that.
Oh my God.
I want to punch him in the fucking face. And I love that. Like, he's such a good villain. And I think it's Creature of the Week, or Case of the Week for sure, but there's a really interesting through line that keeps them all connected. And I think another thing I really love about that show is that it's called Evil, but everything about it is so much in the gray area, and this really cool discussion of like what is good, what is evil, and kind of how we react to that, and the very gray area of what it means to be evil. And I really like that discussion, and I like how it's not always super clear if it's supernatural or not.
Yes.
I think that's really fascinating to me, and I'm glad they didn't go all in on it being horror. At least I think that's awesome. I think it's a really cool kind of keeps you on your toes and kind of lets you kind of make your own decision about some of the cases. Like, is it possession or is it something else? And I like that a lot. I like that it doesn't try to give definitive answers, and it kind of leaves room for both skeptics and believers in a way that I haven't really seen on TV before. Yeah,
no, I completely agree, where I was like halfway through the season and I was like sitting back thinking, have we had a single case that is definitively, this or definitively that? And I mean, there's obviously supernatural entities happening in the background. Like there's obviously that going on, but like the individual cases, I did like the sort of gray area of there's two different ways of looking at this. I do think that I don't know. I think sometimes I wish it would just like decide what it wants to be.
Yeah, I do think it needs to fully commit. And I think towards the end of the season, I was a little less intrigued, and it felt a little bit more silly. Not silly is not the right word, because one of the episodes is actually pretty intense, but like it didn't feel as connected, I think, as the rest of it, as the rest of the other
well, I also didn't like that two of the episodes towards the end sort of sideline the priest, Mike Coulter's character. Like one, he's in the hospital, and the other one, he's like held kidnapped.
Oh yeah, so I know.
Like, and they're like one right after the other, and I'm like, really, we're having another sort of like what is that, like that the episode they say like for like television where it's in one location? Why am I blanking on?
I don't know. Maybe it was a sketch. Maybe it's a scheduling conflict. Maybe it's one of those things where like he couldn't be on set, and they're like, just put him in like a side thing.
But so I say all this negative, but the fact that going into it and all of these things were not working for me, I still really enjoyed it. So I think that if things like procedurals or things like this, the sort of like X-Files love interest, not love interest between the two main characters, if those things don't bother you, then I think this is going to be a great time for you, because I binged the entire season in my weekend. Like, I obviously was being drawn to it for some reason, because there's a wealth of other things I could have been doing. So I liked it. I enjoyed it. I think that as far as like, other people that I've heard talk about it, you talking about it on Twitter and Joe and Trace, I think I'm a little bit below that, but I think it's phenomenal. I really wish they would get off of CBS network television.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's interesting to see these kinds of shows on network television. Like Hannibal, you said Hannibal's on Fox. I think it was on NBC. I think it was on NBC.
Wasn't it Fox?
I thought it was NBC.
Oh, you're right. My bad.
No,
it was on NBC.
It's okay. I was like, because NBC was shocking, because Fox would have made a little bit more sense. Because I feel like they're a little bit more edgy, but like it's interesting. And again, like NBC really pushed the envelope with Hannibal. Like nothing holds a candle to that. But it is.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have the Hannibals coming after me. I'm sorry. I said they're on
the
channel.
Hannibals. I know they're gonna come after you. Don't worry, I fixed it. But it is interesting to see network television try to do horror, because like obviously HBO and Showtime and Starz can do really good horror shows, but to see creators working within like the parameters of network television is really cool. And obviously it doesn't always work, but it's cool to see it when it does work. Misu, I know you have a lot of opinions about network television.
And I think it's more of the fact that it's on CBS, because I don't like the CBS format.
I agree with you. CBS is not my favorite. I also don't watch a lot of cable anymore, but when I've watched CBS, it's definitely not my favorite shows.
Yeah. So I honestly think that more than broadcast issues that you have to walk through with like, violence and whatnot, I think it's the fact that it's falling in the same category as like a typical CBS procedural that's really a bummer for me, because I really like, oh gosh, her family. I love her family. And her family.
Her daughters.
The fact that her daughters all talk at literally at the same time and they feel like just one unit. Just like, I love those little things. I love the stories that are happening behind the scenes. I love they have this tech guy that works with them, Ben, and I love the episode where he goes on like a Zach Baggins type.
Oh my God, yes.
Ghost show. Like, I love that stuff. It's all that other stuff, like the big through line that I'm really enjoying. It's just the forcing of an episode or a case of the week.
No, I agree. I also, God, we keep talking about the show, but it's so good. I think what they do is they really put a lot of care into the characters. Like they do. Obviously there's like the main characters, but I think like every single character is treated as an individual and is given their own stories and their own perspectives, which you don't see a lot in shows like this, but like having the daughters have their own perspectives and having like focusing on Ben and his own episodes. I don't know. I just think that's really great to get more like equity spread across the characters rather than just having like the token side characters.
Yeah, well, they all feel like like you said, they all have their own viewpoints. They feel like different people, which a lot of times shows when you have like an ensemble cast, a lot of the sort of side characters become like one note.
Yeah.
But like everyone on this feels like you said, feels like they have their own perspective or they have their own personality or they're approaching the situation differently.
Yeah. And
I like that. It's on Netflix, the entire season.
And it got renewed for season 2.
It did. So I'll be there watching it for sure, even if I will bitch about some things.
You're still watching it and giving it views.
Yeah, of course.
So that's been our first mini-sode, everybody. Let us know if you enjoy it, if you like hearing about what we're watching, and if you have any recommendations for what we should be watching, you can tweet at us. I'm at MB McAndrews.
And I'm at Gaily Dreadful.
My cat's walking across my keyboard, and it's really annoying.
When is Miso getting her Instagram account?
She has an Instagram account. I just don't do anything with it anymore. I'm tired. I manage social media as my full-time job. I sometimes just don't want to do it anymore. Anyway, also make sure to follow the podcast on Twitter at Scarred Podcast. I don't know. We're playing it fast and loose here, guys.
We're playing this. Yeah, I mean, you got to give us a little bit of wiggle room because we're figuring this out as we go. But yes, please don't forget to review, rate, and subscribe.
Thank you to everyone for listening. Get ready for some. I swear to fucking God, again, she knocked the shit over. Like every time I do a podcast, she's like, "What can I destroy in your life?" Get ready for this to be a goofy podcast. It's just the two of us. So this will definitely be a little bit more loose, but I think it's going to be great. But thank you again, everyone, for listening. Stay safe out there. But most importantly, stay creepy.
Until next time.
Next cat destruction.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children? Won't somebody please think of the children? Won't somebody please think of the children?
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What is The Briefing Room? It's a behind-the-scenes look at how the criminal justice system works and the lives of the people within that system. If you love true crime, well, these are the real people who do the job every day of making sure justice is served. Hi, I'm Detective Dave. I'm Detective Dan. Together we have decades of experience in local law enforcement, a profession that we think is often misunderstood. So we're going to explore how to do it right, and we won't shy away from when it's done wrong. These are stories you'll hear nowhere else. Unique, frank, and unvarnished. From the team that brought you Small Town Dicks, this is The Briefing Room. Episode 1 drops on August 30th. We'll meet you in the briefing room.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.